Hello and welcome to week 2. So, a couple of things. I gave you a lot longer in week 1 because we had Memorial Day and because we've got the drop ad thing going on, and we've got lots of other issues in the first week. And I wanted you to get kind of familiar with the way things are going to work. You're going to have discussions, you're going to have quizzes, they're going to be due in a timely manner. And I realized I didn't have the date set up properly. I thought they carried in and they didn't. So I've now gone back and redone all of the dates. So I'm going to show you how you can determine when those dates are. They'll be listed in your calendar. They'll be listed in your discussions and your quizzes. If you're already, as some of you are, ahead in modules 2 and 3 and you've started, then I couldn't set the dates for those, which is fine. But just so you know, from this point out, your due dates for the modules are going to be on Tuesdays and Saturdays because we are compressing this course effectively into a little over 10 weeks, but basically 10 weeks, especially if you count the theoretical summer break week around July the 4th. So there are some dates in those of things that are due, but bear in mind that for the most part, with the discussions, you only have to do one per exam. For those of you who are in History 212 or 2112, section 2 or the second half of this, I will be adding more discussions in there so you have more options. I'm not sure why there aren't discussions every module in that, but there aren't. So I'll be adding those in as well as we go along. All right, so here, first of all, is the important dates from this point out. Obviously, this past Monday was Memorial Day. The last day to drop and get your tuition back is today, May the 27th. The last day to drop at all is tomorrow, May 28th. For those of you in the first part of U.S. history, 2111, your first exam is on Tuesday, June the 10th. Thursday, June the 19th for both courses is Juneteenth, and technically we're out that day, but you still have stuff due on the following Saturday. For those of you in 2111, the midterm is going to be Saturday, June 28th, and that's also just your second exam, so I think it weights the same. Friday, July the 4th is Independence Day. Monday, July the 7th is the last day to withdraw without penalty. For those of you in 2111, July 13th is exam 3. And then for those of you in both classes, the final exam is July 29th and 30th with your final grades due in Banner on July 31st. Now, very quickly, for those of you who are in 2112, your important dates are very similar, obviously. Memorial Day, today being the last day to drop and get your tuition returned, tomorrow being the last day to drop at all. But your first exam is on Sunday, June 8th. Juneteenth is still June the 19th. Your midterm is on Sunday, June the 22nd. Independence Day is still on the 4th. And then Monday, July the 7th is still the last day to withdraw without penalty. Exam 3 for you is on July the 9th, and then the final exam is July 29th and 30th, with again Thursday the 31st being the day that things are due in Banner. So what I plan to do with this again from this point out, starting now, and again, a lot of you are ahead, which is good. Module 2 is due completely on Saturday, Module 3 on the following Tuesday, Module 4 on the following Saturday, etc. You should see it from there with the dates for the exams interspersed in each week. Now, many of you, I have noticed already in your discussions, are not giving me internal citation, and I've had several people ask what kind of citation. So I'm going to show you this document that I will send out to you along with the important dates, how and when to cite. And actually for this, I start with when to cite because it is significant that you know when you're supposed to cite. You're supposed to cite any time you use information from a source, regardless of if you're quoting it or if you're just putting it in your own words. If you're getting information from anywhere, you have to cite it. So in this case, many of you are using information from the textbooks and from the supplemental materials. So at the end of any sentence where you're using any of that information, you must cite. Citation, because this is APA, is in the form of author, date, page number, if it's from a book or from something that has pagination. If it is from the textbook that you're using, you should put the section. And the way you do that is basically say chapter 1, section whatever, or chapter 17, section whatever. If you download the book, you'll actually have the page numbers, and you can download those textbooks. They are very good to have and good to have accessible to you when you are taking your quizzes and when you're doing discussions, because you can search for specific things if you've downloaded them via PDF. All right. So when to cite, again, always after a quote, and quotes must be in quotation marks, and everything we get goes through Turnitin. So of course you need to be doubly sure that you have your quotes in quotation marks and the citation immediately after it. Again, if you're paraphrasing or putting it in your own words, you obviously don't have to have quotes, but you still have to have the citation immediately afterward. And this example here basically tells you what paraphrasing means. It means summarizing a source when you refer to an author or work specifically, or when you use numbers, dates, or statistics, because those are not things we hold in our memory or as common knowledge. So you definitely have to cite. So if you use the date for something, you need a citation. And I have a third example here, the third section, on when you're using something that's not common knowledge and what that means. And for us, basically, anything that you can look at your roommate and say, did you know this? And they say no, then that means it's not common knowledge. Again, review this. When I go through and I put in there citation, citation, that means you needed a cite. Now, again, the how to cite, APA citation is pretty straightforward. It's very easy. It is, again, author, date, and then page number if you are using a book or a source that has a page number, chapter and section number if you're not. You don't have to use Chicago Manual of Style. You're using APA, and there are some videos and some examples in this and in the section in your course that actually has those as well. The thing with your citation is that it has to match to your works cited page. So everything has to have not just your internal citation, but also your works cited page. And your works cited page should be alphabetical by the author's last name. And the reason for that is so that if I see a citation in your discussion forum or in whatever you're submitting, I can look directly to your works cited and match it immediately against your author there. And in your works cited citation, you have your author, the full title of whatever it is that you are reading. So if it's the textbook, it's the full title of the textbook. Then you have the date and you have the web page and the location. Or if it's a book, you have the publishing information. So it's pretty straightforward. And again, I've given you examples here of where these things are. Almost everything in this is from a web page. So if you're using the textbook, then you're just going to put the web page. You're going to put the specific web page for that week, the chapter heading web page. But that should also allow me to be able to find the page numbers or the section numbers as well when you list the section numbers in your internal citation. So again, I will send this out to you so that you will be able to review it as well, and so that you'll be able to look at some of these videos if you want to see those as well. All right, and it seems like there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. All right, so I think that's it for right now, your important dates and this. So starting again this week, starting on Saturday, you'll have Module 2 due with your discussions. For week 1, what I'm going to do is if you didn't have citation in there, you'll have a very low citation grade in the rubric. But starting with Module 2, starting this week, if you don't have your citation in the body of your discussion, it's going to be a 0. Because you have to have citation in there. It is required for any kind of discussion, any kind of essay, any kind of paper, anything where you have the opportunity to use a source in the course of answering the question. You have to have that citation in there. If you have questions, you can email me I've got my GGC email here, but I will also add my North Georgia email that you can use. Um, and again, feel free to email me with any questions you have. So I look forward to seeing what's going on. And be sure that you remember what I mean the due date for these, for the discussions. That means not only the top post, but it means your responses, because once that discussion closes, you won't be able to respond either. And you need at least 2 peer responses, substantive, which means adding more information or expanding on ideas in that top post, not just, oh, hey, that was a great post, I understand what you're saying. That's not a substantive peer response. Um, Again, if you have questions, let me know.